Caleb's Story, Chapter 10. I thought things would be better between Papa and Grandfather, but they weren't. Papa was silent in his room. Grandfather and I mended fences and fed the animals and shoveled out stalls. "What's your horse's name?" I asked Grandfather. "Jack," said Grandfather. "Papa had a horse named Jack, too," I told him. Grandfather didn't answer. "Sarah's right. You and Papa are alike," I said. I knew Grandfather wouldn't answer, and he didn't. "And Jacob didn't go to Maine when the drought was here?" Grandfather asked me. We were in his room, the door closed. "He stayed here alone," I said, "until the rains finally came, and then he came to Maine, surprising us all. But he was the one who was surprised, because Sarah and Papa had Cassie after that, and she was the biggest surprise of all." I pointed to what Anna had written. "When we came home by train, we passed trees and hills and lakes filled with water," read Grandfather. Grandfather could read better now, his voice strong. "They are beautiful, the trees and hills and lakes filled with water, but the prairie is home, the sky so big it takes your breath away, the land like a giant quilt tossed out." Grandfather closed the book. It was very quiet in the room. A knock at the door made us both jump. "Hello, are you in there, Caleb?" asked Sarah. "Yes, I'll be down soon," I called to her. "What are you doing? Is John there?" "Yes, Sarah," said Grandfather, "we're almost done." "It's private," I said. There was silence behind the door. Soon we heard Sarah's footsteps going down the hall and down the stairs. I handed Grandfather a blank book. "What is this?" he asked. "This is yours," I said. "Yours to write in. You can do it now." Grandfather opened it. I had written his name, John Whiting, there. He turned the pages and saw them all empty and white. Grandfather put a hand on his chest. "Grandfather, I was scared. I thought he was sick." Grandfather waved me away. "It isn't pain," he said to me. He closed his empty book and looked at me. "It's love," he said. When the weather cleared, Sam came out to the farm. He taught Papa how to use crutches so he could get around. Then he gave Grandfather a lecture I wasn't meant to hear. I was in the hallway, out of sight. Sam and Grandfather sat at the kitchen table. "You can't do all the work, John," said Sam. "Your heart can't take it." "Nonsense," said Grandfather. "Oh, I see," said Sam. "You feel guilty for leaving Jacob when he was little, so you'll make up for it by working hard and dying. That will make things right again." "More nonsense," said Grandfather. "Want some more coffee? I made it." Sam shook his head. "Stubborn," he said. "Old fool." Papa came into the kitchen on his crutches, Sarah and Cassie with him. "Easy, Jacob," said Sarah. She helped Papa to a chair. "I can do this," said Papa. "It is good to be out of bed." "No work, Jacob," said Sam. "I mean that." "Grandfather and Caleb are doing the work," said Cassie, sitting on Grandfather's lap. Sam frowned. "So I hear," he said. "Is that true, Sarah?" "There's been a lot of repair work from the storm," said Sarah. "I don't know what Caleb and I would do without John." Sam frowned at Grandfather. Grandfather ignored him. "Any letters from Justin?" Sarah asked Sam. "No letters for a while. Anna waits for the mail every day." "Are you worried?" asked Sarah. Sam got up and put on his coat. "Yes, a little. Letters take such a long time." "And the influenza?" asked Papa. "Better, Jacob. Fewer cases. I think it has run its course," said Sam. "We think about Justin every day," said Sarah. "Thoughts are good," said Sam with a smile. "Having him here would be better." Sam went to the door and turned. "No work, Jacob," and he looked at Grandfather. "You know what I think." "What does that mean?" asked Sarah. "It's," Sam began. "Private," said Sarah and Sam at the same time. It was evening. Sarah was in the bedroom with Papa. He was tired from learning to use his crutches. Grandfather was tired too. We had replaced a barn beam. It had taken a long time. Here's an excerpt from Caleb's journal. "I worry about Grandfather. Sam says his heart cannot take much work. I try to keep him from shoveling hay, from cleaning out the stalls. I try to keep him safe, but winter is hard here. Winter makes you tired. Even walking through the snowdrifts makes you tired." In the kitchen, Cassie sat on Grandfather's lap. "What now?" asked Grandfather. He sounded gruff, but Cassie knew better. Cassie wasn't afraid of Grandfather. "Would you sing me a song?" asked Cassie. "I don't know any songs," said Grandfather. "Yes, you do," said Cassie. "I heard you humming a song when you were in the bedroom, when the door was closed. I was outside listening." "Were you?" said Grandfather with a small smile. "What song?" Cassie hummed a little of a song. "Did I hum that?" said Grandfather. "That was a long time ago, too long ago for me to remember the words." Cassie didn't say anything. She stared at Grandfather for a long time. Finally he gave in. "Oh, all right," he said. "Don't you laugh," Grandfather warned me. "Don't even smile." "Okay." And then in the dark room, Cassie on his lap, Grandfather began to sing. "Sleep, my love, and peace attend thee all through the night. Guardian angels God will lend thee all through the night. Soft the drowsy hours are creeping, hill and vale in slumber steeping, I my loving vigil keeping all through the night." I looked up and saw Sarah standing in the doorway, Papa behind her on his crutches. Sarah smiled at Cassie, her head on Grandfather's shoulder, but Papa didn't smile. He looked odd. He looked sad. He looked like someone remembering something that he hadn't thought of for a long time. "Angels watching ever round thee all through the night. In my slumbers close surround thee all through the night. They should of all fears disarm thee. No forebodings should alarm thee. They will let no peril harm thee all through the night." When I looked up again, Papa had gone. Sarah's eyes were wet from tears. "Again," whispered Cassie. "Sing it again." I stood outside Sarah and Papa's bedroom. I raised my hand to knock, then stopped. I could hear voices inside the room, Sarah and Papa's voices. "John has done so much, Jacob," said Sarah. "Sarah, I know what you're trying to do. I told you once, and I'll say it again. I will not forgive him." There was a silence, then Sarah's voice, sounding soft and hard at the same time. "Your unforgiving nature is something I do not love about you, Jacob," she said softly. Papa didn't answer her, and suddenly the door opened. Sarah looked at me for a moment, then she brushed by me without saying a word. Papa just stood there inside. I had never ever heard Sarah say she didn't love anything about Papa.